Thank you. Bill Shankly, an iconic football manager from Liverpool FC, once said, "Some people think football is a matter of life and death. I can assure you, it's much more important than that." Was he right? Well, I certainly agree, and hopefully you do too once you hear my story. I'm not an iconic football manager. I'm not even a footballer. My name is Lene, and I work with homeless and socially disadvantaged people, and I work with street soccer. That's the answer I give when I meet new people and they ask me what I do. Usually, my answer leads to the following question: why? Why don't you help these players find an apartment, get a job, get support for their mental illness, drug addiction, or whatever they may be struggling with? But I'll tell you why. Because when it comes to my players, their energies and efforts are concentrated on problems and problem solving, not on equal possibilities in society, in every aspect, also when it comes to engaging in sports. Now, sport is fun, and therefore it's not a priority to provide these opportunities, neither to my players who are struggling in their everyday life or to society. But it's interesting how the fun factor seems to be reason enough when it comes to why you and I can engage in sports. But in the case of homeless and socially disadvantaged people, some argue there has to be a reason beyond fun. But sport is more than just fun, and today I will give you some of my main reasons for engaging in this work with street soccer, homeless and socially disadvantaged people. Let me tell you about Michael. There he was. Michael was a former player, and in many ways a very typical one. He was an active drug user. He had no idea on how to understand or play by the rules of society. He always used to get into conflicts with his surroundings, and he lived a rather excluded life. Michael came to us because football was the only positive thing in his life. And yes, Michael was and is a skilled footballer. However, his difficulties with understanding and cooperating with the rest of the team constantly got him into trouble. He would get extremely upset, and either he or his teammates would leave the pitch. Now, Michael understood that if he had to perform on the team, he would have to become a team player. It wasn't easy for Michael to make the transformation, and he worked hard on learning how to communicate, cooperate, and handle conflicts. But Michael did this, and slowly his attitude outside the pitch changed as well. The things Michael learned on pitch, he somehow managed to incorporate in his everyday life, and this would have a positive impact on the way he would meet, talk, and treat to people around him. Consequently, his surroundings met him differently too. Now, everything was going quite well for Michael, had it not been that he had a few things on his criminal record as well, and he was about to go to court. Michael knew he had to go to jail. However, the judge in court that day was a fair judge, and he saw the positive development Michael was making. To help Michael stay on his positive path, the judge set aside the previous judgment and instead sentenced Michael to community service. Michael served his community service as a church caretaker at a local church. Sport is healthy. Whether you're a child, a homeless person, or a CEO, no surprises there. However, when we talk about Michael and my other players, their physical condition is often very poor, and they feel excluded from normal football clubs. Over a period of 2 years, the University of Copenhagen studied the impact that street soccer had on a group of untrained, homeless, and socially disadvantaged men, Michael being one of them. And the results were amazing. Every player showed high risk at every lifestyle disease when they were first monitored. But after just 3 months, the players who had participated in street soccer activities every week were no longer part of the high-risk statistics. In such a short time, a simple tool like playing street soccer can lift the general health among a target group with such a poor physical condition. Therefore, it's easy for me to argue why street soccer is such a great idea when it comes to improving the general health among this target group. But, as I mentioned, I'm not a footballer, and it's neither the improvement of physical condition or football skills that interest me. What really fascinates me in my work are the social and psychological effects this game has on every player and team. Michael's story is important because it highlights some of the basic challenges the players meet in life and on the pitch. But it also shows how social skills can be learned through sport activities and, last but not least, how players use these skills to make positive changes in their lives. When I meet new players, one of the first things they tell me is how good and different it makes them feel that they now have a place they belong, that they're chosen to play for a team. Maybe for the first time in their lives, they are needed. And if they don't show up, their team will be missing its goalkeeper or striker. For many players, this feeling alone makes all the difference in the world, and is for many the first step of changing. For Michael, the feeling of belonging and being accepted for being himself made him show up again and again and again. And slowly he learned that if you want to be a part of a team, you have to interact. You have to cooperate. You have to play by the rules. And you have to listen to the people around you. Now imagine you are homeless, living in a shelter, have no job and don't belong anywhere. How would you feel? Probably not good and very isolated. My players feel exactly the same. Most of us have plenty of things to choose between, whether it's sports or other hobbies, and the world sees us in a different context. As a mom, as a dad, as a player, as an employee, and so on. My players don't have a lot to choose between, and they're normally only seen as whatever they may be struggling with. As an alcoholic, as a drug addict, as a homeless person. My players are not homeless people playing football. They're football players who happen to be homeless. The way someone feels has a massive impact on their daily lives. And a first step is changing my players how they see and feel about themselves. Playing street soccer won't give the players a home or job, but it will give them new friendships, social skills, and hopefully a new belief in themselves. As for Michael, the feeling of belonging As for Michael, the church became so happy with him and the job that he did that they decided to hire him on normal terms after his community service. Now Michael has worked as a church caretaker for 2.5 years. Some of you might think that Michael's story is too good to be true, or that it doesn't represent a true picture of this target group and the changes street soccer can lead to. To this, I can only say, yes, it is almost too good to be true. And no, this is not what happens to the majority of the players. Because let's be honest, a ball alone can't change the world, but it's a very good beginning. Michael is an example on what playing street soccer under the right circumstances can do for these players. His story is not unique. Around the world, you'll find thousands of players just like him. But you can find even more players with less positive outcome. Not because street soccer doesn't have a positive impact, but because the extreme poverty or the complex mental and social issues these players are dealing with are so severe that playing street soccer isn't enough. But for many, it's an opening to something new. Now, I gave you some of my main reasons for engaging in this combination of street soccer, homeless, and socially disadvantaged people. And I hope this will make you think about why it's just as important to give these players a sports opportunity as it is for you and I. To me, my work is what gives meaning to Bill Shankly's words. Some people think football is a matter of life and death. I can assure you, it's much more important than that. Thank you.